everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Kat. I'm a wife, a homeschool mom, and an avid reader. It is April, which is one of my favorite reading months every year, and I am so excited to share with you what I'm looking forward to reading during the month. So this month is Book Roast's Aurelium Readathon. If you don't know what this readathon is, I will leave some links below to descriptions that G has given that explain all of this way better than I ever could. But basically, we are in school and we are trying to accomplish certain things to get our degree in certain subjects. And all of these are fantasy callings. And so the one I have picked is the Wild Form Druid. I am a novice this year, which only means that last year I completed a year as the Wild Form Druid. And in this, there are 2 semesters or equinoxes. We have the spring equinox and the autumn equinox. And with it being spring, it's time to look forward to what I'm going to need to read to continue this track that I am on. I did choose the Wild Form Druid simply because one of the sentences in the description really stood out to me, and that was, once you start down this path of becoming a Wild Form Druid, you don't really change your calling after that. And for me, that just took so much future decision away and brought me a huge breath of fresh air. That it was a easy choice for me to do this one. And the neat thing with this is, as a Wild Form Druid, my character can shift into another into a animal creature, and normally based off of the character's kind of personality. And so let's look at the prompts. So I do have to read 8 books this month, and most of the prompts this year were very easy for me to just look at what I had on my on my lists of books that I wanted to read to figure this out. I think it took me all of about 10 minutes to get 5 of the 8 prompts done, and you'll see why I didn't get 2 of those done in a minute, and then the third one I'm still thinking about. So my first topic of studies is animal studies, which means a book with a yellow cover. For this prompt, I have picked Your Shadow Half Remains by Sunny Moraine. This is I gravitated toward this one because it is the final pick for the Pyramid Book Club. They're still going to discuss books on Discord, but they're no longer going to have live shows on YouTube based on the books anymore. I know everyone's schedules are getting busy and things come up, and so it has been decided that the Pyramid Book Club will end after April. And the pick is Your Shadow Half Remains. In this one, we have our main character, Riley. And Riley has some reason that she is not allowed to look at people. She cannot look at their faces. She cannot look at their eyes, because if she does, horrible things happen. So she has kind of lived a life as a hermit and is okay in that lifestyle choice until she gets a new neighbor named Elias. And she decides to throw caution to the wind and befriend Elias. And because of that, the yearning to see Elias's face really entrenches itself in her. And so this one I am looking forward to reading. As far as category, this is a horror novel. And so, or genre, not category. This is a horror novel. And for all the ones that the Pyramid Club has picked in the past, I have enjoyed hands down. And so I'm excited to check out what this one is. The second subject that I need a book for is The Art of Illusions, which the prompt is the word game or play on the cover. And I am going with an author that I recently discovered, and that is Catherine Foxfield and her book, Tag You're Dead. The cover, the part that says game, is on the cover, it says the first rule of the game: trust no one. This is a YA mystery. And one thing that drew me to Catherine Foxfield is that so many of her books do revolve around a game of some sort. Last year I read Come Out, Whatever You Are. And this one was a reality TV survivor type show. And so it just, you see the game play out and you're trying to figure out what's going on. For Tag Your It, we have 4 contestants. They have alternative motives for being on this game. And those are one's for money, one's for revenge, one's for obsession, and one's for fame. So they want to win this game for that. And the contestants are going to be kitted out with body cams, GPS trackers, and pressure sensors that, if activated by a competitor, will send them out of the running. They venture into nighttime London to hunt each other down. So this is kind of that character against character. And if it's anything like Come Out, Wherever You Are, there's a lot more going on in the book than just what is in the description. And I love how Catherine Foxfield, and I would assume her PR team, work together so that what you read on the back of the book does not give spoilers into what's going on. You're left with that, not knowing what you're walking into, other than it's a book about it's a book about a game, and something's going to go on in this. So I am excited for Tag Your Dead by Catherine Foxfield. For the third prompt, we have astronomy. And the prompt for that was a zodiac recommendation. And this was finding it anywhere that they, that books are recommended based on your zodiac symbol, to pick a book from there. I went with the Reader's Digest version, and it was kind of interesting what it said. As a Cancer, it says Cancer is the sign of intense emotions. So books based on zodiac signs for this person should nurture the body, mind, and soul. Vidovich recommends anything regarding family or found family. Literary women's fiction, books for women, and novels filled with emotional depth are great choices. Look for family dramas and epics with themes around parenting or reparenting. Cancer is a sign that speaks to the inner child, so children's books may also stir the heart of this moon-ruled sign. Cancers are also able to handle strong feelings and monumental passions, so tearjerkers and other sad books are definite Cancer territory. So looking at all of this, I had a wide range of books that Reader's Digest suggested based on being a Cancer. And the one I went with is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches. And for this book, I'm just going to read what Storygraph has to say about this book, because that is really what drew me in to this particular one. So this is a contemporary fantasy and romance fiction. And here's what Storygraph has. As one of the few witches in Britain, Micah Moon knows she has to hide her magic, keep her head down, and stay away from other witches, so their powers don't mingle and draw attention. And as an orphan who lost her parents at a young age and was raised by strangers, she's used to being alone, and she follows the rules, with one exception: an online account where she posts videos pretending to be a witch. She thinks no one will take it seriously, but someone does. An unexpected message arrives, begging her to travel to the remote and mysterious Nowhere House to teach 3 young witches to control their magic. It breaks all of the rules, but Micah goes anyway, and is immediately tangled up in the lives and secrets of not only her 3 charges, but also an absent archaeologist, a retired actor, 2 long-suffering caretakers, and Jamie, the handsome and prickly librarian of Nowhere House, who would do anything to protect the children. And as far as he's concerned, a stranger like Micah is a threat, an irritatingly appealing threat. So just those 2 paragraphs really made this particular book stand out among the others, and I was 100% sold on picking this one for my zodiac recommendation. For my next pick, or my next subject, it's conjuration, which is a color wheel. So let's flip over to my color wheel and see what prompt or what color my cover has to be. All right, so the color is purple. Not exactly what I was hoping for, but that's okay. I have a few books that I still might be able to work in based on another prompt that requires a generator. So I'm going to check out my shelves and see if I have a book that is predominantly purple that I haven't read yet. Okay, that was surprisingly easier than I thought it was going to be. I just happened to turn and look at my TBR shelf, and the first book that caught my eye was The Unseelie Bargain. I don't know how well all the colors show up, um, but I would say that about 80% of this cover is purple. Even here in the corners, it's actually a really dark purple. It just doesn't come across on the screen quite so much, but lots of purple. And this one actually was on my February TBR for the Enchanted Fandom backlist book club. And this one, we have Aurora Heartland. And she, through a series of events, is trying to find a way to provide for her family. And in doing so, she makes a deal with the Unseelie King. And she so basically, she gives her service to the Unseelie King for a year in exchange for her family's needs being met. Um, and I believe, okay, so for each month that she's there, so they're getting provided for the year. Each month that she's in the Unseelie Kingdom, her family's provided for. Um, but as with all Fae promises, there is a catch. The Fae cannot lie, but they do tend to um, twist the truth in different ways, and the bargains are never as they seem. So Aurora finds herself stuck helping the Unseelie King in a way she never would have agreed to, but all she can hold on to is the promise that her family is going to be protected. So I am excited to read this one, and if it is half as good as Gina Showalter's Heartless, I know I'm going to have a fantastic time with this one. The next subject is elemental studies, and for this one, I needed a book that has a source of light on the cover. And the one that I picked is When the Moon is Low by Nadia Hashimi. When I picked the book originally, the author's name did not strike me right away. But when I went to look up what it was about just now, I realized that I've actually already read one of this author as well. And it was when Sparks Like Stars, great book. And I had a great time with it. And one of the things that Nadia Hashimi does is she writes a lot of her books, if not all of her books, about the Afghani people. And so this is another one that is about the Afghani people as they are, as the Taliban is rising to power. So we are in Kabul. We meet Fariba. I'm sorry. She's a school teacher, and she puts her childhood behind her when she finds love in an arranged marriage. But her comfortable life with her husband is going to implode when the Taliban rises to power and her family becomes a target of this new fundamental regime. She and her 3 children have to flee, and they end up in London, where she's seeking refuge with her sister's family. Um, and it continues on. Um, her teenage son, Salim, is going to be separated from the rest of the family, and he is going to have to deal with some really hard things. And Fariba is going to continue on with her daughter and baby, um, and they're going to try to come back together as a family through events going on. So there's a lot of history in this. This one's probably going to be a book that slows me down a little bit, but if it reads anything like Sparks Like Stars, I am not going to have a problem, because Nadia Hashimi does an amazing job of describing everything in such vivid detail that you feel like you are really there. And her storytelling abilities are amazing. My next subject is spells and incantations. And for this one, the prompt is to use a random number generator to determine the length of the title. So coming over to my screen, here I have a number generator. I've put the minimum as 4, with the maximum being 20, and that's just going to be the number of letters in my title. I'm really hoping for the number 4, and I'll explain why in a minute. All right, let's see. Oh, yay! Okay, that was awesome. So the reason I wanted 4 is because I put this on my book list for March, did not get around to it, but I have started. I started actually on April 1st, and so it's nice that this has worked out this way. I have George Orwell's 1984, so I'm counting that each digit in place of a letter. In this one, we have a negative utopia, and it's George Orwell's imagining. When he's writing, it's 1949, and he's imagining how things are going to look in 1984. And it seems very much as if he kind of, like, the whole book is leaning toward if the communism party were to have taken over all of the world. So maybe if World War II would have been lost by the Allies instead of won. And so just having that kind of imagined dystopia that's going on. I so far am halfway. It did take me just a little bit to get into the book, because you're introduced to a whole bunch of terms that are very prominent in this world, but not in our world, not in our everyday life. And so things like newspeak and telescreens, just it took me a few minutes to wrap myself around that. And I am having an interesting time with it so far. But 1984, it's the negative utopia. The back of this doesn't really tell me much more than what I've already told you. Um, so I am excited to do this or continue reading this one. And this, I'm excited also to share it with my British literature students because that's what I'm pre-reading it for. My next subject is restoration, and the prompt is a book that you think cures slumps. And for this one, I went ahead and I used the Enchanted Fandom's book club pick of House of Bane and Blood. This one is by Alexis Menard. And my thought process with picking this for a book that will beat a slump or get me out of a slump is that when I am slumping, I go toward fantasy romance novels. In this book, we have House of Bane and Blood. We have two families, kind of like a Romeo Juliet type situation, where the two families are in a feud. And unlike Romeo and Juliet in this case, the two main characters are not in love with each other. But they are kind of forced into an arranged marriage. So Nico has his motivations for this union beyond maintaining peace with her family. A serial kidnapper known as the Collector has been ravaging the streets of Remnant Row, stirring up mistrust between natives and descendants. If Mila can help, that's our female character, if Mila can help restore safety to the streets, he'll have no need for her or her family's company, which then would give Mila her freedom. And we have dark magic, or remnant magic, I'm sorry, and arcane science. And so we have these two ideas mixing together in this, and it just sounds like it's going to be a fun time of a book. And that's House of Bane and Blood by Alexis Menard. And my final subject is shape shifting. And the prompt for this is to read from an author who blurbed your last 5-star read. My last 5-star read was The Book of Doors by Gareth Brown. And the author who blurbed or had a blurb on Gareth Brown's Book of Doors was Sunny Dean, and the book I picked by this author is The Book Eaters. And in this one, we have this group of people who live in secret from everyone else because for them, books are food. And when they eat the book, they retain all of the book's content for it, but each book has its own flavor. So spy novels are a peppery snack. Romance novels are sweet and delicious. Eating a map can help them remember destinations. And children, when they misbehave, are forced to eat dry pages from dictionaries. And this is going to actually follow Devin, who is part of the family, which is an even more reclusive clan of book eaters. And she, like all the women of her family, are raised up on a carefully curated diet of fairy tales and cautionary stories. But Devin ends up having a son who is going to teach her that happy endings are not for everyone. And her son has a different kind of hunger. He does not hunger for books, but for human minds. So this one is one that I am super excited to kind of see where this world goes, especially since Dean really seemed to, by the blurb, seem to like Book of Doors. I think this is going to be a great pick for me. And there we have it, guys. My Aurelium Spring Equinox TBR list. And I'm just hoping that I can get these 8 books done during the month. I have been a little bit slumpy January, February, and March, getting 4 to 6 books read each month. So 8 is a little bit of a push for me this month, but I'm hoping that it will motivate me to see where we will go. If you're joining the Aurelium Readathon, let me know in the comments what calling you have followed and maybe 1 or 2 of the books that you're looking forward to reading. And I'll see you next time. Bye.